emergency! Oh yeah, Operation Overdrive is Dino Fury! Samurai forever! Speed of force, Soundout12, Ninja Steel, Dino Fury, Cosmic Fury!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and today we're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Power Rangers franchise, because we're very, very close to the 30th anniversary itself on August 28th, 2023, which is celebrating since August 28th, 1993 was when the air date of the first episode was. And I thought that, for this event, there's not really more to say about Power Rangers itself that I haven't already said in the last 14 years of doing this channel. So I thought, let's get a little bit more personal, a little more reflective on my personal history with the franchise. So I hope you'll enjoy this journey as we go through it together. I thought this would be kind of the best way to celebrate the anniversary, is not just, talk about the franchise itself, because we've done that, we've analyzed it, we've discussed things, we've talked about Lightning Collection QC, we've studied, Megazord designs and season choices, and I've ranked all the seasons and the Megazords. I've done pretty much all the things that, one can do, except talk about, personal history stuff. So I figure, let's get into it. Let's start my personal history with Power Rangers. If we're talking about my personal history of Power Rangers, we should talk about my first contact with Power Rangers, which wasn't at the beginning because I wasn't born yet. I was born about there, between the movie and season 3. So if we're talking about the first show I watched, it was probably In Space. However, there's a little bit of a wrinkle in the story. See, I was actually born in Iceland on an Air Force base, so I actually probably didn't even watch In Space on TV until we moved here when I was almost 4. So I think what I was experiencing with Power Rangers was sort of like an offset thing of VHS tapes. I have a really strong memory of watching the Psycho Ranger arc of In Space on a VHS tape, and I had that VHS tape somewhere still, but it was essentially just all of the Psycho Ranger episodes minus Carlos on Call stringed together as a movie, and I watched that thing a lot. In fact, another thing I watched a lot would have been, the Mighty Morphin movie, since that was out at the time, of course, since, I was born. And in fact, my parents had even bought Power Rangers toys prior to my birth for that movie, so, good on them. But in terms of, the movie stuff, I think I have a good connection to that because of the VHS tape. And then for similar reasons, when you're talking about Turbo, that early Turbo stuff I know very well because of the movie, because again, it was on VHS. Now, toy-wise is a little interesting because I kind of got into it, during In Space. I remember specifically having the basic figures. In fact, I still have them in a tub over there, which I don't want to dig out for this video. But the original In Space figures, the light-up features, I remember getting those specifically in Iceland, which is kind of interesting to think about. But again, it's really foggy because I was 3 or 4 years old at this point. So between 3 and 4. So it's going to be kind of a foggy memory thing. The cool part is that I do remember getting those light up In Space figures. I also distinctively remember getting toys from thrift stores. In fact, it was either in Iceland or shortly after we got here that I first encountered the Morphin figures, which are some of my favorites to this day. So now with other toys, I specifically remember getting the black and gold Astro Megazord shortly after we got here to the States. I don't remember having this in Iceland, but I remember getting this brand new, probably at Toys R Us, if I were to take a guess. But this black and gold Megazord was essentially the Astro Megazord in black and gold. They released it during Lost Galaxy, not during In Space. But this was kind of my Astro Megazord for the longest time because I didn't get a blue original color one until probably later as a kid. My dad really got into eBay, which is why I have a lot of Megazords. But yeah, that wasn't an original. My blue one that's on the shelf with the the Delta Megazord here wasn't my original. My original was actually this black and gold one, which I still keep on the shelf just behind everything because it's kind of a non-canon Zord. But of course I wouldn't give this thing up. It's beautiful. I love it. It's gorgeous. But there's also a couple others I remember getting early on, and that would be the Stratoforce and Centaurus Megazords from Lost Galaxy. I remember getting these. I did not have the Deluxe Defender Taurazord as a kid. I did not have the Zenith Carrier Zord. I did not have the Galaxy Megazord. I had some of the intermediate ones for Galaxy and Toro for sure, but it wasn't until I was in high school before I even got the deluxe versions of the main two. But these I've had since I was a kid, and you can tell because Centaurus is still missing his head. I have been trying to piece this back together because this thing has moved several times. Also, I was just really bad at keeping parts together as a kid. I'm going to be honest. It wasn't until like Time Force where I started like bagging accessories together. But this guy, I have all those parts somewhere. I know I do. I just have to find them. All the little guns, all the little attachment pieces. I really wish I could find the head. I know I got it somewhere. And the reason I know is because my complete Stratoforce Megazord tells me I do have all the parts somewhere. It's just a matter of finding them. I mean, this is kind of like, you know, early Zord things. And I think I get like a, you know, kind of like anytime I see them, I know that they like don't make a lot of sense design-wise for Lost Galaxy or for Ginga Man because everything else is all like animal-based. These are like robot animals. I still like them. Probably because they're some of my earliest Megazords. And it may have been because they were a lower price, but still multiple components. So that definitely helps, I think. But yeah, I've had these guys for a long, long time, and I will complete you one day. I will find all your parts. Here's another fun fact. My first Morpher was actually the Lost Galaxy Transmorpher. This was actually the first Morpher I got. Pretty sure I got it brand new because of the era it was in. It's pretty beat up now, but I loved it a lot as a kid. As a kid, I still kind of do. I kind of have sensitive skin, so my parents put moleskin on the inside so it would have a nice padded feel instead of the plastic, which was really sweet of them. And that made it easier to wear, especially because if it ever got too large, you'd have to feel the prickles of that because of the way the Velcro was done. But yeah, that was the first Morpher I ever had. Now, if we're talking crazy early stories here, the Megazord that is within this Ultra Zord, I actually got at a thrift store. In fact, I had two of them, and I kind of still do. I still have the parts around. One of them was apparently complete. One of them was not. There was a variation on the Mastodon shield, specifically between the two of them. But I remember getting it like in a bag at a thrift store for not that much money and getting it. And yeah, one of them was complete. One of them was missing a bunch of parts. I think one had the proper shield and one didn't. One was missing the pterodactyl, one didn't. I didn't know I had the cannons until I found them, which was miraculous. But yeah, I actually got a complete Megazord way back in a thrift store where someone was just selling it off. In fact, a lot of these Zords came from thrift stores early in the days where the collector's market wasn't as well known, and people would just sell things. You know, it's like, oh, these are all kids' toys. Let's just donate them to a thrift store or sell them off or something. And especially, particularly because my dad was in the Air Force, and the Air Force bases had really good thrift stores because people would move constantly, and so they'd just be like, oh, the kids aren't interested in this, and then just dump some toys. Like, for example, this Mega Winger. This Mega Winger was complete. I, for some reason, lost the gun. I need to find that. It's somewhere. But his wings are on the Mega Voyager back there. But this Mega Winger was complete. Found it. And I decided to leave the tag on it because I couldn't believe how it was only $2. Yeah, that is probably the best Megazord deal I've ever gotten in my life. Complete Mega Winger for $2. You don't get those deals anymore.
The signal is calling, our planet is falling.
So while I've been watching Power Rangers pretty much through VHS tapes, maybe a TV airing here or there, I can't remember exactly what aired in Iceland in terms of Power Rangers, but I do remember the VHS tapes because there's the physical, tangible aspect of it. So while I'd seen stuff from In Space, I'd seen stuff from Zeo and Turbo. I think even had a holiday special VHS tape at one point. I can't remember the exact timeline on these things. But I knew about several of the seasons, and I had toys from them, from thrift stores, and other things. But the first season where I really caught it from the beginning was Lightspeed Rescue. So Lightspeed Rescue was kind of an important moment for me as a Power Rangers fan, because I caught it from the beginning. Like I said, I'd seen Lost Galaxy, but I probably watched it in the later half as opposed to the earlier half because of when we moved that year. But with Lightspeed Rescue, I was definitely on board from the beginning. And in fact, I have like a cool story. I distinctively remember the story here with these. So the Lightspeed Rescue Megazord and the Max Solar Zord were birthday gifts. So my birthday is in August, so it's a little bit later in the year. So there was more toys out by then, but my parents did start a tradition. This actually continued forward for like several years of I would get Megazords for my birthday. Specifically like whatever the current one was. So this one, the Lightspeed Solar Zord here, I got the Max Solar Zord and the Lightspeed Megazord for my birthday, and it was before school started, so I had those during the day. And then I was, going to get additional presents at my birthday party later that day after my dad was home from work. So it was really cool because I had these to play with during the day and the way they combined together, which is actually, my dad told me later, was a big selling point, was the way that they were interchangeable with each other. They weren't standalone things. It's actually one of the things I love about Megazords. So this one was really important, and then I played with it all day, and then at my birthday party, the Super Train showed up. So shout out to my wonderful parents, because yeah, the Super Train was not the Christmas gift, it was the birthday gift. And the reason I got it was because this worked with all of these, putting these inside that, connecting the shuttle to the front of that. It's an amazing system of Zords. And as you can see, I've added the black and gold one, the Life Force Megazord. It was only released in Japan. That came, yeah, about that as an adult. But anyways, these two sets of Zords were my birthday gift. And I think throughout the year, some other points, I got the Titanium Morpher, I've got the Sidearm Rescue Blaster, and I also had the Titanium Laser. And then some of the basic figures. And I don't remember if those were birthday or other parts of the year. Rescue Morpher I didn't have, which is why eventually I got a Go Brace from GoGo 5. This Battle Booster I got at a comic shop for like 10 bucks. Look at that. Pretty sweet. And then you're probably wondering, what about the Omega Megazord? Well, this was essentially a Christmas gift, because I believe at the time of my birthday, this wasn't quite out yet. And so I got that later in the year. I believe it was for Christmas. And then also it was, a good selling point was the fact that this worked in that. So, cross compatibility. Also, this was just massive as a 5-year-old to own. This Zord is huge. It was like, almost, it wasn't that much bigger than it, to be honest. It was just this huge toy. Couldn't believe it. But yeah, Lightspeed was kind of the first start of that. Time Force Megazord and Time Shadow, poor Time Shadow's back there, half broken. Those were, birthday gifts the following year. Q-Rex Megazord Christmas that year as well. So that's just kind of how that continued. Same for Wild Force, except for a weird reason. My Kongazord and my Wild Force Megazord that is disassembled because his parts are all over the place. I got those for Easter. They broke the trend at that point. Didn't have the Predazord, didn't have the Isis Megazord. Got those later. Same with Animus. And then for Ninja Storm, I got the two, that you can't see them because they're in the Revolver Mammoth. I got the two main Megazords for birthday, and then the Samurai Star I got on New Year's Eve of all times. And then, of course, I would buy the Revolver Mammoth later because they never released that beast here in America before. But yeah, so it's kind of like a little bit of a tradition that continued forward for a few years, which was really cool. So basically, with Lightspeed, Time Force, Wild Force, I watched them, I got toys. I wasn't like, as a kid, you're not really thinking like, oh, I got to get everything. Or maybe you do, I don't know. For me, I was just kind of getting parts and pieces. So like when I went to go complete my Megazord collection later in life, I had a lot of things, but there was stuff I was missing. Like I had all the Time Force Zords because they never released Rider Base here. I had all the Lightspeed Zords because they never did the Life Force here. I had all the Ninja Storm Zords, but I didn't have Revolver Mammoth because it wasn't released here. And then with Wild Force, I had to pick up a few more pieces. But the thing was that essentially, after Wild Force, something happened. It was called the Disney buyout. Disney bought the Fox Family Network, turned it into ABC Family. They bought the Fox Kids Library and converted it over. So ABC Kids became the new destination for Power Rangers. Guess whose local affiliate cut off ABC Kids at noon right before Power Rangers? Okay, maybe not been exactly that time, but Power Rangers just basically didn't air here. It was weird. So the ABC Kids airings didn't work out for me. So I didn't actually watch Ninja Storm when it came out, but they pumped the DVDs out pretty quickly, so I was kind of keeping up with Ninja Storm that way. In fact, those DVDs skipped over a chunk of episodes, and I never saw them until a year later, and I was like, oh wow, there's a whole chunk of this show I didn't know existed. So I had kind of interaction with the DVDs. Then it came to Dino Thunder. They adjusted the time schedule, and so Dino Thunder started airing here, and so I watched the two-part premiere, thought it was cool, saw the next couple episodes, Legacy of Power, Tommy becomes, I think Legacy of Power aired, and then the next week was going to be Tommy becomes the Black Ranger, and boom, time zone switched again, no more Power Rangers. And that was the case for Dino Thunder, SPD, and Mystic Force. And so the thing is, I didn't have the connection of the show, and at school, like, Power Rangers wasn't like a cool thing anymore. People were like, oh, you're lame, you like Power Rangers, and I'm like, I'm 8. The show's rated for 7-year-olds. I was logically thinking in a kid world that wasn't thinking logically, but that's me. So I still liked Power Rangers. I still loved my Zords, but I kind of fell out of the cycle. Like Ninja Storm was the last time I got toys, really. I got some Dino Thunder figures, I think. I thought Dino Thunder looked cool, but I didn't have the attachment to it. and the birthday Megazord cycle kind of had, run its course, especially because there was a price jump. I remember this specifically, that like my dad was shocked at the price of the Ninja Storm Zords compared to the Wild Force ones. And that's a valid thing, honestly. Nowadays I look at price jumps and I'm like, so, it's fair. But the thing is, I kind of fell out of it. Then a little while later, I found out that the Toon Disney Network was going to be airing Power Rangers. And I think it was during Mystic Force or something where I found out about it. I wasn't really jiving with Mystic Force, which is funny because it's like one of my favorite seasons now. But then, this new thing called Operation Overdrive was coming. So yeah, Overdrive got me back into Power Rangers. I was out. I was completely out, but I got back in because of Overdrive. And that was actually just because it could have been any season. It wasn't that season specifically. It was just the fact that it was on Toon Disney, and I had Toon Disney. ABC Kids wasn't showing it, but Toon Disney was. And Toon Disney was having marathons all the time. So I kind of got caught up. I saw a bunch of SPD. I saw pretty much all of Mystic Force, which is why I started enjoying Mystic Force. I remember renting Dino Thunder DVDs from the library, as I was kind of like, what did I miss? And I was catching up. And then more specifically, I started to find out that some of my preconceived notions about the franchise were wrong. And that's why I started researching things online. Because at this point, I'm 11 or 12 years old, and I'm starting to become aware of, more things beyond just, this TV show. And in fact, Toon Disney really helped with that, because I didn't realize Kat joined the team at the end of Mighty Morphin. I had no idea. I thought she just joined with Zeo, because I'd seen the Zeo Christmas episode before I saw most of Zeo, and she was in the Turbo movie. So I just assumed, and she wasn't in the Mighty Morphin one, so I just assumed she joined with Zeo, like Tanya did. Really didn't know that the Turbo Rangers switched teams in the middle of the show, like that TJ, Carlos, Cassie, and Ashley show up in the second half of Turbo. I thought they just switched them for In Space. I had no idea Kendricks died in Lost Galaxy. I just thought Corone took over for some reason. I had like a lot of gaps in knowledge that I didn't quite fill until I started just seeing the episodes due to the constant marathons that Toon Disney was doing. So it was kind of interesting that way. Like, I didn't know some of these things about the franchise. It wasn't, with Mighty Morphin, I thought the movie was kind of like it, and then they went to Turbo for a while, but that's, eventually I saw a VHS tape that was like, oh, there's this thing called Zeo. Oh, Mighty Morphin Season 3 used the ninjas. I also didn't know until watching on Toon Disney that the movie wasn't the canon introduction of the ninja powers. That kind of thing. I started to become more aware, and then as these questions started piling up, I started looking up things online. And then eventually I started my own YouTube channel a couple years later, and I started reviewing RPM toys, right as the franchise died. This shelf is very important to me. Okay, maybe not the Gosei Morpher part. This shelf is very important to me. This has shaped my entire existence as a Ranger fan right here. We have Overdrive, okay? I bought every freaking Overdrive toy that was in the show, okay? I figured out how to pull it off. I got all the Zords, the figures, except for Camdor, I missed him out. I got, the weapons that I wanted. I got both Morphers. I made a concentrated effort to complete the Operation Overdrive Zord line. And then I had to redo it because those Zords sucked, and I got the Japanese ones later, including the Flashpoint Megazord here with Siren Builder. The thing is that Overdrive is very, very important to me because it was kind of my first collecting experience. I went out and found both dual drive Megazords. I went out and found everything I could. Jungle Fury continued that to an extent. I didn't go as hardcore because I didn't know about the Disney Store exclusives because my Disney Store didn't have them, where they released the Deluxe Side-IO and the Chameleon and the Lion as their Japanese versions. I stuck to the Transforming stuff, but still had the Deluxe Megazord and the Deluxe Jungle Master Megazord. But I made a concerted effort on that. I got all the Morphers. Again, didn't know the Rhino Morpher even came out. Still a little gap here. But one particular thing happened between Overdrive and Jungle Fury. I found out about Super Sentai. So while I was looking things up about Power Rangers, I found out that it was adapted from Super Sentai. Thanks, Wikipedia. And then from there I thought, oh, I can preview the next Power Rangers series by looking up what the heck is Juken Sentai Geki Ranger. And that's how I ended up finding out about Jungle Fury and everything they were going to do prior to the show airing. So I became really dialed into stuff. And then in 2009, RPM was coming out. I was excited for it. And then two bummer things happened. One, we got the word that the series was canceled, that this was going to be the last season. And so that got me thinking, maybe I should look into Super Sentai, and I started watching Samurai Sentai Shinkenger at the same time as RPM was coming out. And then from Shinkenger, they did a decade crossover, which got me into Kamen Rider at the same time because Kamen Rider Dragonite was airing as well. And the rest is history, and this is why I have the whole channel I have here. But I reviewed the RPM stuff, so it's a very big touchpoint moment there, and I tracked down all the Zords. The other big thing is I had to watch RPM on YouTube. Yes, because Jungle Fury, Overdrive, previous seasons, they aired on Toon Disney. RPM went back to ABC Kids only because Toon Disney became Disney XD. I didn't get to watch RPM. I thought they were going to air it, check the listing. Nope, cuts off right before RPM. But people have been uploading it on YouTube way back then, so I just watched it there. But it was kind of a bummer not to get to watch it on the proper network. But that also got me really resourceful into finding shows when the networks and the official media don't want you to have them. But also, RPM, I think, was kind of a big moment because it's when I start reviewing Power Rangers toys. And that shifted how I purchased things and also how I looked at stuff. Especially because I knew how to compare to the Sentai toys, which has ruined me forever. Oh, is this the shelf of woe? So here's the thing. Samurai came along. Power Rangers, got revived because Saban bought the franchise back and made Samurai in like 6 months, and it was kind of a rush job. I watched Shinkenger. I basically rewatched Shinkenger for 2 years with worse acting. That was Samurai for me. Not exactly my most enjoyable experience, though I did buy the toys because I didn't have that many Shinkenger toys. At the time, I only had the Sushi Changer and the Mini Pla. So this was nice to get the nice big deluxe Megazords. Totally into that. Megaforce, I didn't like Gosager. I didn't finish Gosager. I still haven't finished Gosager. But I did buy all the Megaforce toys, and in fact I thought Megaforce was a step up because it wasn't just repeating Gosager. And then we get to Gokaiger, which is really when I got into Sentai toys specifically. And the reason why is because I've been doing the YouTube channel. I was, sort of getting into the, well, this is great, but, they don't have the folding monkey. This is great, but we missed out on the ostrich and the card thing. Maybe I should get the Japanese Zords because I loved Gokaiger and I wasn't exactly sure what they were going to do. They brought it over. I had been collecting the Ranger keys, and I got, the main Ranger keys. I was collecting sets. I was doing Ranger key stuff for a bit. Kind of gave up at a certain point because Bandai just made it really hard. But then HobbyLink Japan had this stupid sale where you buy one thing and you get like free shipping on your whole order or something. And I bought all the Gokaiger mecha because they were all on sale. And this was where I first bought Sentai mecha, like specifically. I had sort of done it a little bit prior. I think the first things I bought Sentai mecha wise was when I was trying to get the Dino Thunder Zords. I actually got better deals on a Killero and an Kylo and of course the Patchy, which never came out over here. But this is when I went and bought new Sentai toys. But waited till they were on sale, got the whole line. And then I didn't buy the Super Megaforce versions because why would I? I got these. And then we get to Dino Charge, where I was buying the Sentai toys, except I wasn't really watching Kyoryuger at first. I will admit, I didn't jump into it right away. Probably because I didn't like Go Busters, and I just didn't jump into it right away. Got into it the second half, loved it, bought that Gabu revolver, and then eventually, picked up some more stuff. But the mecha had the problem of breaking, so I was like, I'm just going to wait for the Power Rangers Zords because there's no way they're not adapting this Dino season. And they did. I love Dino Charge. I like Dino Supercharge. Hated the finale. Kind of soured my experience. So going into Ninja Steel, I went in with a different mentality this time. Because while I had picked up I didn't pick up the Japanese mecha, there was a problem with the Dino Charge line in that the gray Packazord, which is on somebody's arm back there, the gray Packazord was almost impossible to find. I never got the gray one. I could only find the purple. I had to buy the Spino Megazord pack to get a gray one. And I thought, all right, this is a headache. I don't want to do this headache again. Ninja toys are kind of easy to get. Why don't I get the Ninja toys? So as soon as we knew that Ninja Steel was the next season, I went and got myself all, the sword, the weapon, all the change stars, all the mecha, and that was the smartest thing I could have done. Because Bandai America kind of botched this line so horribly. We didn't get the Surfer Zord. They never brought the dinosaur over, even though they didn't use it. They didn't make a properly scaled Lionfire Zord. And on top of that, the gimmicks didn't work the way they should. And so I just was really glad that I went all in and all in Ninja stuff super cheap because it was all deep discount at that point. And I'm glad I did. And then from there, I ended up picking up more Sentai toys. Actually, it was Gokaiger got me started, but then I started picking up the Sentai Changers and then the Mecha, and so I've stopped buying Power Rangers toys as much, you know? It sort of became only about the figures for me, which is kind of where we are today. So here's where we are now with Power Rangers, or with me and Power Rangers, I should say. See, the thing is that, like, after Dino Charge, I was really hyped up about Dino Charge, and I felt like that was kind of like the moment. And also, during Dino Charge, we started getting the comic book, the Boom Studios comics, that I love, and I've talked about in separate videos, and I don't really need to cover here. But after Dino Charge, things have just been rocky with me and the franchise, if I'm being honest. And not in a Rocky, the Red Ranger from Mighty Morphin kind of way, even though, you know, wearing the shirt and all. I was kind of let down by Ninja Steel. You know, I hadn't watched Ninja much. I didn't like it. I skipped it. It's why I only bought the toys, because it was going to be adapted to Power Rangers. And I thought, if I'm going to be keeping up my Zord collection, because, you know, it's obviously a big deal for me, I should, you know, get the nice ones. So I got those. You know, and then after Ninja Steel, we got Beast Morphers, which I already had Go Buster stuff. I kind of got more Go Buster stuff to kind of like round out my collection. You know, I thought that, you know, with Ninja Steel, oh, I forgot the 2017 movie. I was really excited for that movie. I'm going to be honest. And this is me being completely honest here. I was really excited for the 2017 movie. I bought the whole giant, you can't see it, but the giant Megazords back there. I collected as much merchandise as possible, including the Krispy Kreme box. So I was really hyped up for that movie, and I was really not pleased with it. I didn't like it. I legitimately don't. I just don't like it. I didn't like the way they did it. I thought there were some cool ideas, but it wasn't really executed well. And it also, I think, hurt the franchise for a long time, if I'm being honest, financially, business-wise. So, like, after that, and then Hasbro was like, we're going to buy the franchise, because Haim Saban was like, it ain't making me money anymore. I'm going to sell it. And then Hasbro came in, and I was excited again, and Beast Morphers was okay. The problem I have, and I think this is what's been getting to me, is that the era of Rangers I grew up in, you know, if you're talking about the seasons that were airing while I was, like, conscious of it, In Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed, Time Force, Wild Force, Dino Thunder, SPD, I forgot Ninja Storm, Mystic Force, Overdrive, Jungle Fury, RPM. Those seasons, I feel like, and this is maybe just a lot of personal bias, I feel like that was kind of like a really good spot where, like, each season was doing something different, and some were better than others, but they were, you know, executing different ideas. They were using the same premise of, like, Power Rangers, but they were executing them differently, and they were rotating staff out, and they were given some more creative freedom. You know, I think Disney was sort of hands-off on the whole thing, and they got some of the best seasons out during that time. Beast Morphers was essentially a Saban production that just became a Hasbro production. So when I saw a lot of the tropes and the similarities to Ninja Steel come back, I was like, okay, you know, all right. You know, it's continuing. You know, it's the same production team. And then we get to Dino Fury, and much like with Ninja Steel, I didn't like Ryu Soldier. I didn't actually own the Ryu Soldier toys. When they announced that Dino Fury was going to be adapting Ryu Soldier, I was like, well, I need the toys now. I had been collecting Sentai stuff for a while. I got Tokyuger stuff, I got Lupat stuff. But, you know, when it came down to Ryu Soldier, I went and did the same thing I did in Ninja, found a bunch of deals, ordered them all at once, you know, got my Zords, because Ninja Steel was missing Zords. Beast Morphers was missing Zords. I was pretty convinced Dino Fury was missing Zords, and it was. So, you know, I solved my own problem, right? I got the Sentai toys. So then going into Dino Fury, I'm like, all right, cool. Now we have a new company, and this is a new production, and we got our new, you know, EP, executive producer, like, let's see what we got, and it's just more of the same. The problem I think I'm reaching with the show, and I know this is, like, weird to talk about, because we'll talk about it in a moment, but Dino Fury was a big letdown for me because it was a little better than Beast Morphers, or a little better than Ninja Steel. It wasn't, like, significantly better. I felt like Dino Charge was significantly better than Super Mega Force. Whereas I feel like Dino Fury is a little bit better, and Season 2 was a little bit better. But there's no, like, huge leap forward. And maybe Cosmic Fury might be it. I don't know. You know, it's the same production team, so it's the kind of thing that goes on. So the thing was, I start to question, like, where am I in Power Rangers? Am I the diehard show fan? Not really. I really haven't been since, like, RPM. The excitement, I get myself hyped up and then I just get let down, which is why I think I'm going into Cosmic Fury of, hey, it might be good, it might be bad, whatever, because I think I've just been let down enough at this point. The comics, they swing for the fences and sometimes they hit, and sometimes they miss, but they always try something different, and I appreciate that. And I think that's kind of where I'm at in general with Rangers. Like, there is news, there is no more future productions in New Zealand, that's confirmed. There is nothing happening on stateside because of the writers and actors on strike, because they deserve to be paid fairly and compensated correctly and have fair guidelines when it comes to the use of AI technology. And so because of that, there's nothing happening for Rangers for a while. We're going to be getting our first true break in the franchise, and I'm totally cool with it. I think it's great. Sounds awesome to me. I love Power Rangers. It's clearly the centerpiece of the collection in this room. We've walked around it today. I love it. Do I need it constantly to be putting out new stuff? Not really. We still got the comics while the show's on hiatus? Yeah? All right, cool. I'm good. That's where I'm at, And the thing is that I think for a lot of people who have been really into it, really, really into it, more than I have, even, it's going to suck when you have that new fix. But if you haven't read the comics, they're at least worth a try. But yeah, I love this, but I also kind of like the idea that, Cosmic Fury is doing new suits, but they're using the Q Ranger Zords. So I'm like, cool, I already got the Q Ranger Zords. And then they got a new Morpher, so it's like the one toy I need to get. It's the Morpher, since I do Morphers and Zords mostly. And I don't know, should I talk about Lightning Collection? I think I've made it very clear, if you've seen my other videos. Very disappointed in how Lightning Collection has gone. From a fundamental level, not just the QC problems, but the way that they do character selection, accessories, and paint and all that. I've talked about that extensively. The reason why is because if you look at this, Lightning Collection should be appealing to me directly. If they are losing me, there is something seriously wrong. And that's also going on hiatus. So, I don't know why I keep slapping like this, but this may be a static display at some point. And I'm totally cool with that, because I'm kind of running out of room anyways. But that doesn't mean that I don't love Power Rangers. It just means that I'm cool with it taking a break. I got all kinds of other stuff going on. I got Thundercats over here, and there's Turtles over here, and Transformers, and there's Universal Monsters figures coming out all the time. Kamen Rider and Sentai and Ultraman are all putting out stuff all the time too. I'm good. I don't need Power Rangers to always be around. If it cycles in and out every couple of years, like how G.I. Joe does things, I'm okay with that. I would like the comics to continue, because I think they're still doing interesting stuff, and that's where I'm at. So, in a kind of a weird way, the 30th anniversary kind of being sort of the benchmark closer out of phase 1 of Power Rangers. Like, let's just call it phase 1. How about we do that? Let's not call it anything else. Let's call it phase 1 of Power Rangers. It ends with Cosmic Fury, and the comics and some of the toys may come out after that. But let's just say phase 1 is the first 30 years. Let's call it the first 30 years phase 1. I love it. Even with the ups and downs, even the seasons I don't like. I'm obviously committed, because I didn't even like Dino Fury, and I still went back and watched every episode. And I learned to like it a little bit more, but, I've seen every episode of these shows I complain about. I'm still in it. It's something that shaped me as a toy collector, as a person that follows TV shows. Like I said, it was kind of like the first time I was like, I gotta get all the Overdrive stuff, or I gotta look things up. That sort of thing came from this. But I've taken it to other things, and I've got the variety in life that, if stuff drops off, I'm okay. I still got my stuff that I enjoy. And I think it's the biggest thing. Have multiple hobbies is basically the moral of the story here. If you love Power Rangers just like I do, tell me how you're feeling in the comments. Tell me your story. Tell me how you first got into Power Rangers. Tell me what your favorite part of it is. Just tell me stories in the comments. I think that'd be a wonderful place to share these thoughts. Also, join me this coming Monday on the 30th anniversary itself, or if you're seeing this in the future, the archive may already be up. I'm going to rank every single Power Ranger that has ever existed into a single tier list. I have no idea how successful I will be, because it has not happened yet, but I implore you to join me on Monday, August 28th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Eastern, when I rank every single Ranger of all time. So on that note, hit the like button, hit the subscribe notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos, including that live stream. And if you're seeing this in the future and it's already past that date, go check it out. It's probably already up on the channel. Also be sure to check out the Discord server in the description below. Check out the Soundout Discord protocol. We have a whole chat for Power Rangers talk and all kinds of other good things. It's a great time. Come join us. Also, be sure to check out my social media if you'd like, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Soundout12, as long as those are still applicable. As well as you can find my graphic designer on Twitter and also on the Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for Power Rangers news, comic reviews, and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying, it's Morphin time!